Hello guys, welcome to this final video for this week in which we are going to be talking about inductive and deductive reasoning. This is a topic that is really transversal. I guess that you may have seen this at some point in your life in some other subjects, maybe philosophy, maybe logic, even math, or some other pedagogical or didactic contents, right? Now, we're interested in this because it has a lot to do with what we described in the former video about generalization, overgeneralization, transfer, etc. Right? This is completely associated to that, just because it has to do with extracting knowledge, previous knowledge, into something newer, or let's say different ways in which we can sort of deduce things, right? Now, there are two polar aspects, and when we talk about a polar aspect, well, think about the Earth and how we have a North Pole and a South Pole, right? They are polar because they are opposed somehow. They achieve more or less the same result, but they are located into the antipodes, yes, into the opposing sides. So let's take a look at these, let's say, different ways to work. For me, let's say that it is easier, let's say, or has been always easier, like to start with the inductive reasoning or inductive methodology or things like that, right? Somehow it makes more sense to me that way. That is how my brain has worked. Yes. So let's take a look at this definition. As usual, pretty fancy, and we will sort of um, try to find out a simpler way to say it. It says, in the case of inductive reasoning, one stores a number of specific instances and induces a general law or rule or conclusion that governs or subsumes the specific instances. Pretty tricky vocabulary, but it's very accurate, right? So, in an inductive reasoning process, you go from what is specific to what is general, right? And I actually did that in the previous video, yes, without saying that it was that or without applying that name, yes. And probably if it's easier for you, take a look at the graphic over there in the slide 42 and the arrow that says inductive reason. So we have a person who is saying something, and it says that raven is black, the other raven is black, all ravens are black. Yes? So remember, goes from a specific. I see a male raven, a baby raven, a female raven, a raven in Colombia, a raven in the USA. I observe them specifically, and after adding all these different experiences, I can conclude something general. I make the proposition that all ravens are black. Yes, so that is inductive reasoning, specific to general. Okay. Deductive, as you can imagine, is the complete opposite, right? It says reasoning is a movement from a generalization to specific instances. Yes, specifics of some facts are inferred or deduced from a general principle. Again, lots of fancy words, but the basic idea is that from a set of things, of individuals, of situations, of behaviors, of processes, I can infer something specific. Yes? So in the deductive reasoning, I go from general to specific, right? So let's take a look at the picture one more time, and you will see a guy, you probably know, or you should know, and he's saying this: all ravens are black. So that is general. All. He is encompassing the whole species of the ravens. That is a raven. Yes. So as you can see, he goes from general, then he takes a look at a specific individual. It says that is a raven, therefore it is black. Yes, so if it is a raven, I am expecting that he's black, right? Because of his condition of being a raven. It is like if I ask somebody like how many eyes does my grandma have? Yes. Well, that person may not know my grandma, have no idea what's her name, where does he live, she's alive or dead, nothing like that. But he can say with 99% security that she has two eyes. Yes. Why? Well, he sort of classify my grandma into the human species, and for basic biology, he knows that all humans have two eyes, and because of that, he can infer that my grandma has two eyes. Yes, sure, there is the eventuality that my grandma may have lost an eye, but then at some point in her life she had two eyes, and so the answer of the person is correct. Or again, maybe she had like a genetic malformation or something like that, and she has only one eye or no eyes at all. But that would be actually an exception to the general rule, right? So basically that's it. Inductive from specific to general, deductive from general to specific, right? Now, how does this approach or apply, to language learning? Yes, so well, pretty simple. No, a deductive approach when we're explaining a topic basically starts with the rule, yes, and then is followed by examples. So I explain present simple, for example, and I say, okay, guys, so present simple is a noun plus verb plus complement, and here are the examples. He is my mom. He is my he's my mom. Maybe, I guess it could be. He is my brother. They are in Japan. Yeah. And so on and so forth, right? So first of all, I provide the rule, and then I provide examples, right? So this is deductive, right? And then we can have the inductive method, right? In which I can present certain examples, provide a text that is not necessarily somehow classified as in different parts, but this different set of examples, exercises, sentences, text that will require the student to observe, analyze, and find a pattern, right? So, for example, if I put something like she works in the school, he helps his mom, Peter dances at night in the disco, whatever, right? So what I'm expecting that the student understands, or the students makes the abstraction for, is that in third person there's always like an S. Yes, I can put, for example, in the end something like they dance at night. Okay, so why this doesn't have an S in the verb? So I am expecting that by means of making this comparison, analyzing all these different patterns, he or she sort of guesses the rule, right? So here we have, let's say, these different approaches. We have in this slide, in the number 43, we have some examples, yes, and then the explanation, yes, so that will be an inductive approach. And in the other one, we will have the deductive, because they tell first of all the rule, and later on they give us like some examples, right? Very well. So which are some pros and cons, right? Like what are some advantages and disadvantages of this? Like we should teach using inductive or deductive approaches in our methodology in class? Well, it is a little bit cliche, but the correct answer is actually it depends. It depends on what you want to do, what you want to achieve, what is the level of your students, how tolerant to frustration are they, and some other aspects, right? Such as this, for example. Just inductive learning is an option for language with features and consistency and simplicity of use and form. The basic forms of comparative additive is an example of this, right? So when the topic doesn't have a lot of exceptions, when it doesn't have a lot of things that are out of the pattern, yes, well, inductive learning is a good option. Yes, here we have an example such as the comparative additives and how it's relatively easy, for example, to deal with short adjectives and long adjectives and the use of er as a suffix or more at the beginning if they are long, right? Sure, there are some exceptions and you have to teach those exceptions, but it's relatively easy to control, right? Now, there are some other ones that are really more problematic, yes, such as, for example, the use of articles, just and, the, yes, they have a lot of exceptions, yes. If you're not careful, you can confuse your students really easily. I remember, for example, that many students at some point were confused by some teacher, and some used to tell me, teacher, A is por uno y an is por unos. Yes, they got the wrong idea. Yes, probably they were not, it was not clarified in these cases, right? So normally, probably in those ones that are a little bit trickier, the deductive approach in which you teach certain rules might be better. But then again, it really depends on your methodology, what you're using, etc. Right? So, well, now we have some other things in there, but we're going to skip to the assignment, to the final part of the assignment. Remember, I have already explained two parts. So this will be the part number 3 of the assignment. Okay, if you go to the slide number 46, you will see a list of topics, if you want to call them that way. The ones there are question forms, past simple, present simple versus present continuous, adverb of frequency, expressing likes and dislikes. Okay, so you're going to pick one of them, whatever you want, and you are going to tell me why it would be better to teach those subjects using either inductive or deductive approach, or if you are going to use a combination, well, tell me how would you use it. Okay, you don't need like to design the activity, you don't need to like simulate the explanation that you're going to give to the students. No, that's not necessary. You're simply going to pick one of them and briefly, I don't know, using 3-4 sentences, you're going to justify your choice of why using inductive, deductive, or whatever combination in there. Okay, so please remember, we have 3 parts for the assignment. Make sure that you complete them all, that everything's in there in the same document. And remember, you can work with groups of up to 5 people. Okay. Well, that's it. Thank you very much, guys. We are almost finished. This is the week number 12. We have like 2 more weeks to complete some of the other topics and ideas. But we're almost done. So hopefully everything's been clear, and please, super recommendation, work on your final project, advancing it. Observations and recordings and audios are difficult to make sometimes, especially with kids. So hopefully, guys, you're working on that. Okay, well, guys, thanks a lot. See you around. Bye bye. Hugs.